Shalom. What is the real miracle of Chanukah? You can see from this tie, you've got dreidels there, and at the bottom you've got a menorah. Both of them talk about the essence of Chanukah, a miracle. And on the dreidel, the great miracle happened here, or if you're in Israel, there. The menorah, the Talmud says, is the basis of a miracle. But what is the real miracle? On my video about the truth of Chanukah, I explained the history of how it evolved, that we had this story about oil lasting 8 days, but I want to talk about a different dimension of it. And I want to talk specifically about 3 issues that are in contemporary times that indicate to us the significance of the miracle. The miracle was not the oil. The miracle was that the small group of people were able to fight off the Syrian Greek army, which were the greatest army in the world, and they could achieve political and religious freedom. There's no story in the history of humankind that is as powerful a story about religious and political freedom, except maybe the Exodus from Egypt, which goes to the heart of what Zionism is and what the country of America is, and so many people that yearn for freedom. And so as we reflect on the story of Chanukah, we think about the power of this idea. For Israel, it's clearly a significant story because this is only the 3rd time in Jewish history we've had the state of Israel after 2,000 years of yearning. And the state of Israel was a small group of people who were able to fight off the hordes that tried to destroy it before it even got off the ground. And that is a huge miracle of modern times. In fact, the Jewish people celebrate that with a miracle. When we have Israel Independence Day, we say Hallel, the Psalms of Praise. We have special liturgy. It is a miracle of modern times. And America, what was the basis of America? The whole basis of America was yearning for political and religious independence from the British Empire. So Chanukah goes to the heart of that story too. That is the great miracle. That's why we light this menorah, to remind us of the importance of political and religious freedom. Now, what happens in this week to indicate how significant and important this is again? Well, 3 things. First of all, the American intelligence community came out with a report that supposedly Iran is not pursuing nuclear weapons. Now, Israel knows that's hogwash. President Bush knows that's hogwash. And I posted on my blog, rabbireflects.blogspot.com, reports from Carolyn Glick, reports from John Bolton, reports from Alan Dershowitz, just a few of the many who understand the fatal flaws of that report. If we don't take Iran seriously, when the president of Iran says there's no Holocaust, and the president of Iran says we're going to destroy Israel, and we know they have nuclear ambitions, do anybody really, and they have missiles now that can reach Israel, they'll soon have missiles that can reach the United States. Is it prudent to believe these intelligent reports? And so that is the very first issue of the importance of the Chanukah story of political and religious freedom. They don't want the Jewish people or the United States of America to have political freedom, to have religious freedom, to even be alive. And so that is issue number 1. Issue number 2 is our own people's problem. It was widely reported in the press 2 weeks ago that the former chief Sephardic rabbi of Israel, in a class on Shabbat, said to his group, which got out to the press, that he was invited to a bris, a circumcision, but he wouldn't go because it was on the 3rd floor of a building, and the first 2 floors had a Reform and Conservative synagogue, and to walk by them to this Orthodox synagogue for the bris, we'd be walking through the wafts of hell. Now that's what he thinks about what we do. And that, imagine if that kind of attitude got power in Israel. It has to be corralled and controlled and cornered. It's very dangerous. You know, it's important to note that the Maccabees, after they achieved victory, were not very nice people. They weren't political and religious freedom zealots for themselves, but people that didn't follow Jewish ways the way they wanted to, they persecuted. And perhaps it's time to resurrect that idea about them, because the modern times, the greatest threat we face is from religious zealots like Iran, like this guy, a former chief Sephardic rabbi of Israel. And the third is our own country here in America and the dangers. I'm talking specifically about this current election. Now, I have no problems with evangelicals. In fact, unlike a lot of rabbis, I understand their strategic importance in the support of the state of Israel. And I love the fact that they care so much about Israel's security. But on the issue right now of who's going to be president, this idea that on CNN, in the Republican CNN Google interview, a fella can stand up and hold up a New Testament and say, all I want to know is, do you believe every single word of this Bible? That's all we need to know. And when Mitt Romney has to give a speech basically kowtowing to them, that I don't care if he thinks that Jesus is the Savior, a lot of people do it, we have no problem with that. But when he has to kowtow to them, and there's a brilliant editorial in the New York Times from Saturday, an op-ed column about this, New York Times, no, regular editorial about this. It's a very scary thing. It's as if he forgot about Thomas Jefferson wanting to write the Constitution to protect religious liberty, and the firm statements in the Constitution saying no religion should be elevated over any other, and President Washington's promise to the Jewish community that the Jews will always find sanction here. And when Senator McLean and Running can say this is a Christian country, it is not a Christian country. It is not. It is a country where a lot of different kinds of religions live here in harmony and coexistence and peace. And so from all points of view, from the Iranian issue to the chief Sephardic rabbi of Israel, to the concern about the fundamentalists going to dictate who is the candidate based on their religious beliefs, those are all very scary. So the true miracle of Chanukah is religious and political freedom. And why this menorah has got to burn brightly, to say to the world that we must live in freedom, we must live in peace. The prophets say that the Messiah will be a time when everyone lives under their own vine and fig tree and no one shall make them afraid. That is the miracle of Chanukah.